Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We are your hosts. I am Joe.
I'm Randy.
This is episode 109 of our show, and the date is Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. What's up?
Oh, man, I am.
The sun isn't.
What's that?
The sun isn't anymore.
No, it is not anymore. But soon it'll be even worse when we change time. So, yeah, I had a busy week with the car issue, and then a friend of ours had a car issue. It's tough. Phone guy, got a couple of folks from DV Army.
DV Army's here.
DJ Craze. Seemed like I saw another one. Might have been the usual suspects.
What's that?
Oh, yeah, I made a comment about I wish there were Secrets of Blackmore too. L says, Randy.
One moment.
Whoa. Joe's gone? Are we not live? Randy, did
you? We're live. Remember, okay. I told you I had to.
Yeah. Had to do the thing. Had to see the person about a thing. Joe's got to do a thing. Anyway, the gatekeepers. I think you spelled that right. The gatekeepers, table breakers, and role playing snob will just beat up Dave like they do Gary. Table breakers. Isn't that our buddy Bruce? I don't know if he'd beat up Dave. I'm not sure if I'd agree with that. But yeah. So yeah, Joe's gonna have to zip out a little bit. So I'm gonna take this. As I was saying, week was pretty busy. We got quite a good crowd in the house. Oh, there's them. Is that a squirrel or a deer? Squirrel or deer?
It's a squirrel.
Hey, squirrel.
Have fun.
There's my dinner.
Cool. So Joe's going to have to eat because he didn't get fed when he came back from work today. So we'll see what we can do to help him out. She has to be secret. She doesn't want anybody to know that she's married to Joe. I can't.
No.
Can't really
I don't blame her.
So anyway, yeah.
I'm listening.
Right, you're listening, but you're going to have to do the eating. Yeah. So I'll do some talking.
Talkings.
Anyway, we are going to do the contest tonight. We're going to wait till about. It's going to be just before segment 2. We're going to have a cabin con moment. We'll talk about that, and then we will let you guys start putting your numbers in, your guesses, if you will, for how many dice are in the fishbowl of death. Don't forget the big old red D20 here in the top. So it's at least one. And as I said before, it's a good size. My hand spans the top and the bottom. Got small hands for a guy that's 6'2". But anyway, and it goes, 8 inches in diameter. So anyway, good chunk of dice. Don't throw your numbers out yet. We'll have you throw them out at a certain time and try to keep track of that. So we'll talk about the prizes and stuff. But anyway, so Joe was telling me just before we got started that apparently safe spaces, that DMs are supposed to be keeping safe spaces. That bull crap has made its way back and making its rounds on the interwebs these days. What do I think of that? I think it's weak sauce. But I mean, as Joe said, I'll borrow from him. You just keep common etiquette, right? I mean, you should be kind to people, but I don't have to make special exceptions for the fact that you're scared of, I don't know, bugs. I mean, after I figure that out, I'm not going to try to, tons and tons of bugs and try to make you nervous and bring real bugs to the table. But I mean, at some point you just have to, deal with things, and you can't be that much of a little snowflake and delicate that someone says one word and you lose your mind. I mean, I get that there's trauma and there's mental trauma and there's physical trauma, but geez, man, I don't, if you just say the word spider to one of our friends, he doesn't freak out even though he's scared of him. Shadow and Sun's in. What's up, man? L and Malachi, he'll be in and out. He's doing a little secret reconnaissance at his local grocery store. We got the DVR guys, I believe. Who else is in the house? Ryan, Aqua Media, he's here. And I believe I saw Martinson. Yeah. And I did say L, I think. So anyway, I'm probably going to get started here pretty soon. Tempted to start. I think I'll start with something in a news segment since Joe is eating. This is something that I didn't give him much of a heads up on. And I'm going to work some of my sweet internet magic here. While Joe's away, the mice will play. So let's see what happens here. That's not what I want to share. Go back, Joe. I'm sharing. So here is the Sharitude. Let me make this a little bit bigger so we can see the total gay kiss of it all. And so DC Comics announces the cancellation of Tom Taylor's woke Superman, Son of Kal-El series. Hooray. But hold on, folks. Not too much excitement. So, Malachi's correcting me here. Some technology. It's called Bluetooth, Randy. Got it in the car and a set of earbuds. Just can't chat while driving. Oh, that's right. Man, if I wasn't such a master of technology, I would take offense at that. Phone guy. Joe and Randy Comics. No. So anyway, this bullcrap that's being put out. Well, I love Bounding into Comics. These are some good folks. But unfortunately, where it says that they're dropping the Son of Kal-El series because, well, it's poop and nobody wanted it, they're going to let Tom Taylor around 2023. I'm trying to move up. Hopefully I'm not driving you guys crazy. Move up this screen or down, however you think of it. Yeah, right here. Supposed to be the adventures of Superman John Kent is expected January 2023. So the gayness will return. So that's okay, I guess. But, I guess it's not enough for the left to suck so bad. They can't suck enough when they put their diversity, inclusion, and equity bullcrap into comics. They can't suck hard enough to not do it. That's correct, Elle. That picture of Superboy and his little boyfriend, too skinny to be Joe and Randy. Right on. Welcome, Tunk Todd. I'm glad you made the live show. Patrick's in the house. What's Iron Man saying? I had a player quit the game because another player said a food item, a few times, and the player has some condition that triggered him. Wow. Dude, look, I don't mean to be a jerkwad. I really don't. But come on. At some point, you just got to, get over yourself. Thanks, phone guy. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. I don't have that cool banner Joe does, but he'll throw it up here before long. We were talking, as I was saying, that comic book thing, it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would because, they're dropping one, but it doesn't matter. I've got ISOM #1, Eric July. Oh, who's the guy? Ethan Van Sciver, all the guys in the Comics Gate to take care of my comics needs. We don't need DC and Marvel. Screw those guys. But anywho, so tonight, Joe and I are going to be talking about creating engaging D&D encounters. Elle's got some juicy. What's this? Legion of Myth. Shh. Earth Dawn. He's not here. What does Elle say? I was going to start the topic, but you guys are coming up with some good stuff. Max, who is not here, Shauner went off the rails worse in today's video. Might want to respond to it. Oh, is he losing it? Oh, good point, Martinson. Someone says gluten while I'm gaming, I'm out. I'll be totally triggered. Oh, I like Shauner pretty well. Elle, what did he do? Did he get mad or something? Yeah, Ryan, right on. Indiegogo. I've supported several creator-owned projects. Very happy with them. I'm not going to do second issues on some of them. They weren't all perfect. But you know what? Neither are DC and Marvel. And those guys actually don't hate me. So I'm cool with that. Ryan says Indiegogo is where comics are really thriving. I agree. Oh, anyway. Running this thing by myself is not easy. So let me just jump into segment one because creating engaging encounters. We have done some discussion on this, but tonight I kind of wanted to go a little deeper into it. And we're going to set this up first from the type of Oh, wait a minute. Man, I want to start, but you keep saying cool stuff. So Legion is not going to be responding to Shauner. And Elle says, I missed all the drama since Friday. Gosh, I've been so busy this week and it's stupid. It has been better than a Telemundo primetime series. Oh man. Okay, I guess I'll have to go. This is something I could check out on their live casts and stuff. So, yeah, if that's the case, I'll go check it out. Hopefully all will be well. We've had Shauner on here before. I've never had too much trouble with him, but other folks. Good point, says Biggest Geekus. This would be Joe acting incognito. Drama on the internet between gamers? No way. Inconceivable. Oh, our man's got it. Engaging encounters. Hey, Orc, will you marry me? Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Encounters where characters get married. Something like that. All right. You guys are saying really cool stuff. I'll repeat again. We are going to be doing the contest. Joe Karowski, welcome. The contest, we will not be doing the contest till just before segment 2. You'll have a good amount of time to get your numbers in. I'll be trying to record them all. And those who get closest without going over will win. And we'll talk about that soon, but not now. Are you back, Joe?
Yes, and Max, you're welcome. He really doesn't like the chewing mouth sounds thing. So
yeah,
it's rude. It's
yeah,
rude.
I tried in the past. I want to respect Mac because he's one of my internet heroes.
I'm going to interrupt you there because Shadow has an important question. There is a contest.
Yes,
we announced it last week. So some of you might have missed it. Guess the number of dice, you win paranoia.
No. Don't jump the gun, Joe.
No, paranoia. The paranoia box set is for our 500 folks. 500
old school Wags RPG, or you get a choice. Beta version of Star Wars Edge of the Empire, still in fantastically near pristine condition. Or Warhammer.
Randy's only sneezed on it once.
Only once. Licked it twice. Fantasy Roleplay Warhammer 2nd Edition. Joe informed me that was the least popular. When I
From what I remember.
I would say, I don't know why, because it all looks the same to me. I'm not a big Warhammer guy, but hey, whatever. That'll be your option. But that's later. Don't start guessing yet. Don't put any numbers in there yet. It's going to be open only to the live streamers. And once we get
live chat.
Live chat. Thank you.
We are the streamers, technically.
Correct. That's my skill. That's my technological skill.
Being a little pedantic.
It's good. Get it right. Yeah. I believe that's the one. Mr. Bruce, 2nd edition by Hog's Head. I believe. Oh no. It says Black Industries. Is it not 2nd edition? Am I confused? Is that 3rd? Have I lied to everyone, Joe?
You probably have.
I believe I lied to everyone. Yeah, it's written by Chris Pramus. So yeah, this is probably the one that's hated. I'm guessing it says by Black Industries. If you can read that. So maybe it's 3rd edition.
It doesn't say on the front or anything like that?
No, it doesn't. It says Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay.
Apparently it's rigged, Randy. Phone guy has outed us.
Phone guy, yeah. Well, let's kick him off the stream because
he says sounds rigged if only streamers can win. LOL.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure though. Let me Google fantasy roleplay.
See, I was unintentionally correct. Ew, Chris Pramus, no thank you, from Patrick Demo.
Good call, but it is 2nd edition. I just Googled it. Well, I looked at the first Internet Archive. Let's see here. It doesn't. Oh, that was useless. It's practically useless.
What's useless?
Here we go. Trying to find this cool picture. I'm
Your
going to present.
Google skills.
I'm going to present with my electronical foo of awesomeness. So yeah, see how that says it claims it's 2nd edition. So if you can't trust that website, which is, what is it? Roll20. If you can't trust Roll20, who can you trust?
Right. Wikis are always 100% accurate.
There's never any errors at all. So Bruce is not incorrect. Primus isn't completely useless.
So you have to remind me. I'm not some of the industry names I'm not really up on.
Green Ronin.
Chris Primus is a Green Ronin person. Okay.
He did some good stuff back in the day. Not yet.
Legion wasn't. I think Max is probably doing things while listening, so he didn't get all the nuances of how this is going to roll out tonight. We will announce. We will give you time, and then we will announce winner.
Mm-hmm.
So the time to put up your numbers is not now. It is. We will let you know when. We want to let plenty of people to roll in here. We're still upticking.
Right. Patrick Demo says Chris Primus is a woke leftist who claims to sympathize with Antifa. He also hates white men. That's strange because he's a white man. But okay, that's weird. Max says, how about soon, grasshopper? All right, why don't we jump into the main topic? I've tried really hard, but now that Joe's here, I can do it.
All right, so we got our main topic that I'm sure everybody came here to let us give you our wisdom on the engaging encounters. It'll be primarily Randy because he's more of the DM. I will just throw in my 2 cents here and there.
I gotta interrupt this again, even though we're trying to start. Got a great story to tell you, Joe, and everyone else. So it's both good and bad. So last night or night, I think it was last night, I finally decided to. Joe's out. That's it. Oh God, here he goes. Anyway, so I'm in bed with my wife. Oh yeah. Anyway, so I decide I'm gonna punt on one of my gaming weeks. I'm quitting my Wednesday group. And I was like, and I finally did it, and I felt bad and told the guys I was sorry. But when I did it, I was like telling my wife, I was like, it's pretty good because now I have more time to chill and more time to work on my sweet module. And she's like, sweet what? She was thinking, spend more time with her sweet. She thought I was going to say my sweet wife. I said my sweet module. So that did not go well. So let's just say the possibility of bedroom fun ended quickly.
You killed the mood.
I did.
Like only a nerd can do.
Yeah, Patrick's got it. We are wees in the ways of DMing. Share our wisdom. All right, so let's do this. Creating engaging encounters. So what'd you think of the types? So I had 4 types. Combat, and I put puzzle/skill challenge because those can be different. You could challenge different things.
Right.
And social RP encounters. And then I put all together exploration, discovery, mystery, because they all seem, to me, they're kind of connected, even mystery.
Exploration isn't necessarily an encounter, necessarily.
Correct. It's just an activity.
It's an activity.
Right. So that's fair.
Now, if you're in an unknown location, exploring it you can think of it as an encounter. You're encountering the setting, I guess.
Yeah, that's possible. Oh, Tunka Todd said something funny. Randy, just tell your wife you're a 32nd level dungeon master and give her the look. Yeah, that's all it takes, really. Once I tell her what level I am, it's over.
Cue the music.
She's down with the sickness. So anyway, so I guess maybe you're right, but I guess we just say it's an activity. If we want to ditch exploration, we can. But when I think about DMing, an exploration encounter is, maybe
that's something you look to prepare when you're doing your encounters as well.
Right. It is something you have to prepare for me because I want to. Usually, it's me wanting to describe to you a place. He's a 10th level vice president. Very cool.
Legion of Myth is the 10th level vice president. Well, that would be 9 or 10 levels higher than the one we have in office right now.
At least.
At least.
I would say mathematically he's 20 levels above, but I can prove
Probably.
Right. Elle makes a good point. Walking through the forest is an encounter unless it's full of events to talk to, or unless, I guess you're right. It's not really an encounter.
Not technically.
But it's something I prepare for if I want to do something more than just say, oh, yeah, the Legend of Zygote is a story of about a wizard who accidentally summoned a demon and ended up destroying the whole kingdom because of it. But if I wanted to say that, if I want to describe for them what that kingdom was like as they traveled through it, as they explored and learned things about the kingdom before that event, I guess it's still not an encounter, though an encounter could occur during the exploration phase. So that's fair enough.
Yeah, I think, but let's say out there while you're exploring the forest, you find ruins, even if there's not monsters there, you find, and the party learns things about the setting, that you could call that an encounter. But it's more in the realm of exploration, less in the encounter. It's kind of a blurry area.
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of off. Combat's obvious. It's primarily concerned with fighting. Puzzle skill challenges. Now, I never thought of it skill challenges. Honestly, I never called them skill challenges until 4th edition did.
Right.
But we used them in 3rd. I'm not sure. I'm sure people use them in 2nd in some way, with skills and backgrounds. Puzzles, however, usually I think I have a hard time. I've heard of people who use puzzle encounters and challenge the players. And I've heard of some people say they use puzzle encounters and let them use their stats to beat the puzzle. But to me, that kind of ruins the fun if you're just rolling to see if you can solve the puzzle.
Right.
But puzzle skill challenges are kind of there together. In fact, there was a series of 3 dungeon adventures. I got them listed here. Dungeon number 58, 69, and 80. They were on. Oh, sorry, there was 5 of them. Those were written for 2nd edition. 91 was for 3rd, and 108 and 138 was for 3.5. Where the whole adventure was just skill challenges. That was Contest of Champions. So, so I think that's an interesting idea. They just pretty much made the whole adventure about skill challenges.
I think you would have to really have a particular kind of group at your table and present that in a really interesting way for the entire evening to be about puzzles and skill challenges like that. I think that would that might end up being boring for a lot of folks.
Well, as I looked at it, especially during the 2nd edition era, I remember thinking, this is going to be more fun for the thief character than anybody else. But the guy that wrote them, and I think he wrote the first 3, he may have written all of them, he did a pretty good job. It was a contest this kingdom or somebody was having, and you had adventuring groups were competing to go through it. But I'm with you. Even then, and one of the reasons I never ran them is for that very reason, because there was at least one of them where there was really no significant fight or much social interaction at all. So that kind of, I never ran them. But
so another caveat to that, though, could be if your session is short, it could work out. And lots of, that's kind of the name of the game these days because of busy schedules and whatnot. You may only get 2 or 3 hours to play in. And if it's puzzles, it might work out, but it might. If you're doing a more typical or a more traditional timed evening, which is at least 4 hours, 4 hours of just puzzles, you might as well have brought out a board game.
Martinson says, reminds me, I did run a skill challenge dungeon during the arena. That was the the arena is connected to Cabin Con. That was an adventure we played at Cabin Con where you had to use your skills a lot, but there were still fights. I mean, one of the skills was getting past this Olympic-sized swimming pool that had a thin little beam you had to walk across, and swimming in the pool were dire crocodiles. So
Right.
that was there was a chance for a fight, and a fight did happen.
Right. So
Flady's right. He says, Flady makes the comment, sound like that has potential, Randy, up to the DM to jazz up the story. Yeah, and deliver. Fair enough.
Yeah. Like I was saying,
Yeah.
you have to, I think, either or. You can jazz it up some. You might have a group of players at your table that is just fine with doing that.
Yeah.
Without any fighting. But I like there to be, ups and downs as far as tension. And now if some of those puzzles involve like you're in a room and the walls are going to smush you into paste if you don't solve it type of puzzle,
yeah,
that could replace fights because there's death involved. Right?
Yeah, and I think here's what I was thinking. And I mean, I guess I wasn't thinking exploration as an encounter. When I think of an adventure, which is kind of what this is leading to, and maybe next week we'll talk about how to piece these together as an adventure. You want to mix it up some. I personally like to have more combat encounters than other encounters, but I want to throw in a challenge or a puzzle, something you got to figure out. I want to throw in a social situation where you got to RP, and I want you to discover something. I want something to happen, if not in every session, at least in every adventure, that the players go, ooh, that's kind of cool, or wow, that's crazy.
Thank you, Tonka Todd.
Oh, yeah.
For encouraging everyone to do all the right stuff.
Yeah, hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you. Yes. So then there's the social ones, which of course are obvious, where you're designed to role play or give you interaction, non-combat interaction with probably NPCs. So that could also be monsters. As Elle pointed, you're walking through the forest, you run into a bunch of treants, or ents. You may have to talk with them to get around them or to learn something from them.
Right, especially if you put something there that if you don't talk, if you just are blades out, heads down,
yep,
you're in trouble.
Solve everything with the pointy end of the stick. That can be a problem. Right.
So if you throw something in there, it'd be good to teach some players that are prone to that. Maybe that's not always the right solution. If that's the kind of thing you want to do, if you want to school your players a little bit now and again and say, hey, you shouldn't have attacked that bartender. He was an ogre mage in disguise.
And
that's why
he had red hair.
Had red hair.
That was the hint. Well, and I did do that to you guys probably more often than I should have in the early days. I mean, you remember the encounters, so.
Time out. Legion of Myth says, I tried to sub but was unsubbed. Is that normal? Are you talking about for our channel or somebody else's? From what I understand, we're not a big channel, so I'm not expecting that behavior from us, but
that's weird.
I've heard it on bigger channels more. I listened to some folks with a pretty decent size audience, and you hear folks say, hey, I got unsubbed. So they'll remind people to check your subscription. So if you're here because you know to be here, not because you got a notification or something, check to see if you're still subscribed.
Yeah.
Because you can become unsubbed. I don't know how that works because I don't run YouTube. But I do know from running my own website that mistakes happen. And I'm willing to give YouTube maybe a tiny bit of, very tiny bit of leeway in that arena. But it could be part of their whole don't like certain folks thing. Though we don't have enough of a presence to really warrant it, I don't think.
I think Max was trying to show me how unskillful I am. He said, he was implying that I already was sub, but when I clicked the button again, it unsubbed me. He felt his YouTube joke skill as well. That's okay.
All righty, Max. Yeah, that's my fault for taking it a little too seriously.
Yeah.
But that does happen. The whole getting unsubscribed thing does happen.
Yeah. Whoa, I can't believe this. Elle says, I think Max is being a smartass. I don't believe that.
No, that's not in his character.
It's inconceivable.
It's definitely not in his character sheet.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I've studied his character sheet closely. Hey, so we got combat, puzzle, skill challenge, social RP, and again, I put the exploration as maybe a phase of the adventure, but let's throw that out at least for the moment. I may bring it back. Can you think of any other type of encounter that you would create in a D&D game or an RPG game? I don't know if I can.
No. I think that covers it in broad strokes. I mean, you have different types of combat, different sorts of role playing, because you have town. You make a town encounter. You might have an RP with a merchant, which will be a little different from, thematically different from other types of social or RP type of encounters, though they're all similar.
Yeah. Conka Todd says to make an encounter, I'm assuming any, exciting, give a time limit. I've found on adventures that's even better. The characters do not screw around if they have a real time limit. I want to say it was a Dungeon Magazine adventure. I don't think it was my own creation, where the dungeon was literally going to explode and destroy the whole town in 12 hours. So the adventurers had to do this thing.
Right. That's a nice tool in your toolbox. And I think that's something we should stress here, that a lot of the things we're going to talk about are tools, not necessarily things you do with every encounter.
Right. A clear goal and the hint of a reward. Sure. Those are
all are good tools. So yeah, those are good. I'm not sure that those are good broad stroke encounter types. So I'm sure we're good with that.
I'm going to digress because Alex asks a great question. I don't know if this is a single answer, but I think it's a single answer for me. What do you do when the players engage in an encounter that was not prepared for? Good point. That's the spirit in many ways of old school play. I know what I do. I go with it. That means if they end up getting intrigued by the town drunk because he keeps whispering things about a magic tower, and that was just meant to be flavor, or I had never figured it out yet, looks like Randy's got some work. He's going to be thinking on his feet during the adventure, because if the players are heading down that track, I'm not going to just stop them and say, oh, that's not the adventure. Now, it may be that if I feel stuck, I may have them question the drunk and try to get him to give them more information, then he might go unconscious. I might do that. But then again, they could just throw him in some cold water and wake him up and make him sober again. So, yeah, I say that's what you got. A good DM, an experienced DM, will go with what the players are doing. Though I have no problem with if we have just a few hours to play or whatever, if I prep this thing, especially if the players were planning on going to the Dark Tower of Inverness and then they change their mind when they show up on Thursday, I will probably start to push them back toward. I'll put some rails on the adventure and kind of put them back toward it, just because I can't spend a whole week prepping because they told me that's what they're going to do and they change their mind. If they're real flighty. I think Max and HD Heathen Dog talked about this very thing not too long ago on their show. They did a good job. And I think they made a comment. I think Heathen Dog said it, and maybe Max too. I can put rails on an adventure, and my players will be happy to follow it because they'll never know. Not really.
Right.
You can keep players focused if you want to. Without
there's good ways to do it. There's good ways and bad ways.
Good players.
And we as pals at the game table, not necessarily at the game store when you don't know folks.
Right.
We should give each other allowances. Right. Yeah. I know some people, if you say the wrong set of words, they'll like, oh, you spoiled the game for me or something like that.
Right.
So if you say, oh, guys, I didn't prepare that, can we do this other thing?
Yeah.
Some people will really kind of not like being out of character like that.
I do. Feel like if I do that, I've lost. I mean, as a DM, I feel a hint of lost is not the right word. I feel that I didn't do an adequate job as a dungeon master if I have to say that. And I have said it, but I don't like it.
Right. It's not optimal.
No.
But if the players are being obstinate or just not, maybe we're all tired, but we want to play, and we're not picking up on your cues, sometimes that happens. But it's not optimal, but we shouldn't, beat anybody over the head for doing that. It should be just,
I think players
should understand.
Also, when I get those, if I have to put the rails on, because that's what I'm ready for, and I'm feeling like I've spent so much time, they got to kind of do this. And then also, or they got to do it because I think they'll enjoy it. I think it's something they'll like, and they don't want to miss this. Sometimes I may use those rails, and Joe, who knows me really well, or other players that know me really well, may recognize signs and go, "Oh, Randy wants us to go over to the tower because we said we were going to. We might as well. Something good's going to happen. Let's do it." And usually Joel starts saying, "Well, we'll worry about that later. Let's get to the tower."
Yeah, because if certain folks at the table aren't getting the cue, but somebody is, that player should say, "Hey, let's go do that," instead of what you guys want to do, in as good a way as you can as a player.
Yeah. So anyway, when you do these encounters, right? So you're developing one of these 3 encounters. If we're going to say there's no others, and I think that's fair. I think you can do them in a couple of ways. You can do them random or preset. I'm more of a preset guy naturally. I want to have all my ducks in a row when I sit down to play, but I am learning and forcing myself in the module that I'm writing. Oh, which by the way, well, I'll talk about that. I've forced a couple of random tables on myself even. And so should I run it again, it could be a little bit different, some of the encounters. And you can do random or preset. I think there are advantages to each type. I don't know if I would say, for me, random tables mean less prep, though.
Well, because what you can do is you can have prepared encounters randomized, right? So not necessarily in a dungeon necessarily, and you can do it even there, I guess. You can have an encounter that you have set up, that you've written up, but it could be just something you thought, oh, this would be a cool encounter. So something you would meet along the way, traveling from one town to another. So it could be a random encounter that way, but you have already prepared it. It's just in your list of randomness. It's not necessarily something you have to do, but you could easily have 2 or 3 of those peppered into your random encounter charts.
Yeah, Tucker Todd says, I keep a random adventure chart where I get each player to roll a dice. So together we discover what's going to happen when they stray from what I've prepared. That's a good idea. Crafty Matt points out, don't have an adventure plan? Roll 2 random encounters. Quickly decide how the 2 encounters are in conflict with each other. Yeah, I've done that before. $2, Martinson. That's the allowance. $2. You want your $2.
$2.
Preset to me, though, is always more comfortable. I like to have a plan. They're going to fight this monster in this scene. There's going to be this trap to get through the door. Once they get past, they're going to have to talk with the Lich because he's way at much higher level than them. If they want to find him, all right, shame on them. I'll kill them. But he's going to say, look, you don't have to die. Here's the deal. He's going to be the quest giver. Whether they want to do it or not, it's up to them. But hopefully the 3rd level characters won't be dumb enough to fight a Lich. But if they are, shame on them.
Yep.
Dead characters. If you're going to write an adventure, I would think they need to be connected. But I guess if some people like real chaos in their randomness. I think I've talked before about the Aboleth situation. One time I played with a guy who generated a random dungeon, and he was a nice dude. We played with this guy at a store, and he's a nice guy. Had us bring these 6th level characters we generated, and it was me and a couple of friends, and he was just literally rolling the adventure as we played, which is fine, except he was rolling it and just like whatever he rolled showed up without much description. And one time, I think I mentioned before, he rolled we're in a dungeon room with no water or nothing, and he goes, you see an Aboleth. Wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. But he kept going with it. So, yeah. Hey, Evie. What's up, girl?
Hi, Evie.
Tim Scott. All right. Evie, how you doing? Saw her a couple times this week. That was cool this weekend. Oh, yes. Iron Man, you nailed it. Have your speaking monsters talk to the characters during a fight. Taunt, insult, celebrate hits against the characters. Oh, yeah, no doubt. Oh, Max Boivin. That's going to be detention after class. Yeah. That's okay.
Late.
He's French. We'll forgive him.
You got to give him a break. The Euro's not doing well.
No, Shadow and Sun, it was not an imaginary aboleth. He said it was real and it was there, but yeah, it's a dream sequence. All right, let's make these encounters good. What do you say, Joe?
Make them good?
Let's make them good. It says a combat counter. How do you make it good?
Well, I think there needs to be. You can go a couple of different ways to make it good. You can either let the PCs flex. You can make it iffy.
Oh.
Or you can make the encounter almost obviously suicide. So depending on what you want out of the players, right? And where you want the tension to be at. And something I mentioned to Randy before we started was tension is important. It's because it draws you in. Some people don't want to be uncomfortable, but the uncomfortableness of tension helps with encounters to make them engaging. So, and you don't want to have the same level of tension the whole time, like really high or really low. Really high, it's going to be stressful. Really low, you're going to get bored. So, but you want a mixture. So,
wrong one. Mr. Boisvan corrects me. He is not French. He is a French-speaking Canadian.
Oh.
All right, you're forgiven.
Do we in America even think there's a difference there?
I don't know. Are you in Quebec or Quebec? That's what I want to know. Which one? That will determine your fate. No, I'm just kidding. That's cool. I'm sorry, man. I thought you were French. Okay, so you're just a French. I knew you were in Canada, but gosh, I should have known that. I should have known that. Anyway, whatever. I'm a dummy. So, what about the CR beast? I don't want to go way down this track. So you talked about setting encounters that could be cupcake, where the players get to flex, a real challenge, or one where they really probably shouldn't win. Oh, he's in Ontario, and you're still speaking French? Is that allowed?
I think it's required that they learn both French and English. I think all the politicians do.
I think so too. Which makes me jealous because I should be bilingual too. I should be quadrilingual. Quadrilingual. A quadrilateral that's quadrilingual. Yeah. Anyway, so how tough, right? I've always wondered, gosh, maybe it's because I can't remember in the old days when I set encounters up, if I want to do that, if I want it to be tough or easy or somewhere in between, how do I do that without CR?
By knowing the game and knowing the players.
That's right. I think that's the only way.
Yeah. CR never worked very well.
Not fully, no.
No. There were some monster CRs work well, but it's only works well kind of, because dice rolls can just wreak havoc with your whole CR balance, imaginary balance you think you have. Oh, I've got 4 monsters. I got the right amount of monsters for this 4-person party. The math all works. Then you get into the encounter. The PCs lose initiative, roll a bunch of stinky rolls, and the monsters do a bunch of crits. We haven't done that, have we, recently? And what you think is one challenge level seems out of whack because of how it played out at the table, when it's just the dice rolls.
Well, I think challenge rating, the guys are really blasting challenge rating in the stream chat there. I think it gets a bit of a bad rap conceptually. I think the idea is not bad, to try to help the DM numerically determine challenge ratings. I think a game that does it very well is 13th Age, but it has its problems too.
Yeah.
Balance is almost forced upon you at every level, to where I could argue this is both good and bad. Gameplay doesn't change from low level to mid level to super high level. I think CR was not a bad idea, but it really never worked. I always caught myself with, they said 2 of these creatures were going to be a real challenge, and the party slaughtered it. And I think it's because the designers didn't realize, with the broad array of abilities and choices that 3rd edition player characters have, you can't really say this will challenge a party of 4 6-level characters. You can't do it. Mr. Blavan says, apparently 4E really nailed CR. That's the saying. That's what I've heard, but I've also heard there were some problems at the high end. And I kind of like L's take on this. This is my philosophy now, has been for a while. Monsters should just be where they are, not hard or weak. The players, like Flighty said, have to make their own choices and learn from them. Now, Flighty had said that. I'm good with that. Oh, Duncan, what's in, man? What's up, Duncan? What's up? So I don't, personally, I'm good with that approach. Having said that, I think a young DM could probably benefit from some way to measure, like even in Old School Essentials, in the book it said so many ghouls were a good challenge for second level characters. Well, I can say that I've had quite a few third level characters struggle with the same encounter multiple times. Right. I think it depends on the party composition. I think it was Flighty said, and this is true. I wonder if he's thinking the same way I am. Flighty 1. I think CR was supposed to be a tool for the DM, but also became a mechanic. I thought it became a litmus test for the players to learn to manipulate. So they would, I don't think manipulate, some players I have are like, hey, that CR is too high. You can't.
Yeah, it'd be a point to whine about.
Oh, Tonka Todd, see you, bud. Take care. You can get back in for the stream later. You might could win. I guess for me, these days, I'm like L. I set the monsters where I think they're appropriate. And I think a game like Savage Worlds actually says that's the case. If you've read Deadlands, Shane Lacey says he doesn't have CR. He says monsters are what they are. Sometimes you bought off more than you can chew. I think as a DM who does that, who wants to set that world up that way, it would be nice if you would at least give the players an escape route, preferably multiple ones. But if you want to be hard, you can say, look, sometimes, sometimes poop hits the fan. Sometimes you don't get lucky. You turned a corner and you ran into a dragon in your second level. Sorry about your luck. But I think a good DM would try to give the players at least an out. So the dragon realizes, oh, you're so weak. I'm just going to play with you guys, or I'm going to have you do something for me. I think that's actually more fun for the players than just myrtleizing. Though sometimes they beg to be myrtleized.
Sure. Yeah. Just put the monsters where you think it's appropriate for the monsters to be. Yeah. If you roll a random encounter and you happen to roll up something really tough, the players need to, know when to run.
Yeah. I tend to, this is truth, if I roll a really tough encounter, I had a Bulette listed in one of my encounter tables for you guys, Joe. Had you run into that, I would have given you plenty of warning, and I would hope everybody would have said, get the F out of Dodge.
Yeah, running from a Bulette's difficult.
Yeah, but maybe you could have, if you saw it from range, to where you could maybe avoid it.
Yeah.
But if I have it just come up and eat one of your horses, then you're in deep doo-doo.
Yeah, because if you get surprised by one, you're not running from it. Unless you find a manufactured house or something to run into where it can't just, burrow. If you're outside when you encounter one of them things,
you're in trouble.
There's no running, and they're fast.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, they're pretty quick.
They're moving a pretty good clip. Darth Thick says, how many humans died before we learned how to kill a mammoth? True. And the players may just be on that extinction train. So.
And that's fine, especially with a simple game like D&D, especially the older editions where it doesn't take very long to make a character. I know people have their stories for their character that they want to tell, and they're get into their character's backstory, so they don't want them to die right away. But
what happens?
Yeah.
Puzzles and we make them good. I think there's a key.
I don't know because this is the thing about puzzles. You can never tell whether a puzzle is going to be hard or easy when you make one.
Yes.
You might think it's easy, or you might think it's hard. When you put it in front of the players, and you just never know, because a player might look at your puzzle and say, "Oh, that's the answer."
Yes.
And you're like, "How did you guess that? That's supposed to be hard." Sometimes it just comes to people,
Yeah.
or it might be dumb luck. Who knows? It's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
I think making a puzzle good may not be necessarily the puzzle itself. It's probably just the trappings around it. That maybe the puzzle somehow draws them more into the setting, or is part of if it's disconnected from the story, from the adventure in general. So if you're chasing a band of orcs through some tunnels, and maybe it is their warren of tunnels that you're chasing them through.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have necessarily some complex combination puzzle, like a vault lock or anything like that. It's going to be something more in keeping with what an orc trap would be, unless they are holed up in something that they haven't explored fully. So, yeah, math makes a good puzzle, or makes a puzzle good.
Nerd, you got that. That's some truth there, dude. That's some hardcore truth. Math is awesome. It's good at everything.
So I think it's difficult.
Well, I think it depends too. If you take last week's White Plume Mountain, that's a perfect trap dungeon, because it's a dungeon created by a wizard to protect treasure. I would not leave my treasure wide open. I might leave it guarded by a very powerful guardian, but even then, I might have a secondary trap or puzzle to get to it. If there's some great treasure that I want folks to get to, practically speaking, I would choose an incredibly insidious puzzle, one that was probably not logically consistent, one that just I knew. Like, give a clue to it, and then the answer not be anything to do with clue. I mean, that would make the most sense, right? I guess for me, I just don't want a puzzle or a riddle to be a game stopper.
Right.
You know, you don't want them to like, okay, we got to sit here for 42 hours and figure out what this crazy riddle is.
If it's something they don't have to solve to get from A to B,
mm-hmm.
maybe they find a scroll that has a kind of a riddle. Maybe it's a prophecy that they have to decipher, or something like that. Maybe there's several steps involved in. You have a scroll. It's in a case that you don't know how to open, and along their travels, they solve this puzzle in pieces, and it doesn't detract from the overall adventure. That's one way to do a puzzle
mm-hmm.
That's not going to interfere with progress, unless the players dwell on it a lot at the table.
Right.
So that would be on them. But you can introduce puzzles that don't necessarily have to impede progress in your game. I mean, that's a trope in a lot of novels, in a lot of stories. The PCs, the characters come into possession of something, and then along their travels, they slowly find out what it is and what its significance is.
Yep.
But as an encounter where you have to overcome it or maybe bypass it, that's the other thing. Be open to creative play as a DM, because the players might solve your puzzle in a way that you didn't foresee. And if you write it so that there is only one solution and you won't accept anything else, some puzzles lend themselves to only one solution. But you can have puzzles or traps or tricks that have multiple ways of solving, or you don't even think of it. Yeah, I'm gonna put this in their way. Let me see how they figure it out. That might even be the most interesting way for a DM to do it.
Yeah, I'm kind of having a math debate here. Got to school these people. The answer is 9. Sorry. It is, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, left to right. Multiply is not first. You do them left to right. So that problem.
All right, math.
Sorry. they're going to get in my wheelhouse now. I'm going to start teaching.
You got sucked into the chat.
Yeah. Can't change order of operations. They have to do with numbers and values. They can't change.
Yeah.
They might have had an idea about it in 1914. Can't change. So
Cal says, bah humbug to puzzles. I'm not big on them.
Yeah.
Unless you're...
No, it's not, L. You're wrong, dude. He's driving me crazy. You can't do that. Now, do you mean for that 2 times 1 plus 1 to be in parentheses? Then I agree with you. Hold on. I got to correct him on this.
While you're correcting, I will say, if your puzzle is kind of how do you get out of this room type of thing, then that's fine. I'm okay with those kinds of puzzles, or which way did the guy go? Which path did they take? There's clues. Try to find the clues to which path they took, and then that's an okay puzzle. But elaborate puzzles, they can be they sound good in novels because there's ways to do it, and in stories and TV and all that, because they use drama with them to make them okay. But when you're at the table trying to figure them out, it just it can cause everything to halt. So are you done with the math?
Yeah, I think L and I agreed. He's claiming somebody said, oh gosh, okay, let's let it go, L. We'll talk some other time. Maybe if I ever get on Discord, we'll talk. Now you got my interest.
Oh, that'll never happen.
I want to find that bozo on the video that said that's one. He's crazy. Duncan Bradley, help me out, dude. All right. So anyway, don't make it a game stopper. What about skill challenges? Now, the difference here is it's not a puzzle, it's not a riddle.
It should be just climbing up a wall or something like that.
You got to climb up a wall. Someone else has to disarm a trap. Someone else has to keep the ogre at bay, all at the same time. So I think the skill challenge system from 4th edition was panned initially, and I think that it's maybe hard to do in D&D, but I like the idea of using a time limit. You know, imagine you come into the final boss room, and so the Lich and his 6 undead white warriors are there, WIGHT, not the racist kind, and you have to fight them, but you're pretty powerful, so you're ready to go do that. At the same time, the princess is in a cage, and she's hovering over a vat of lava, and there's a candle burning the rope above it. And also, when that lava hits, it splashes up, and maybe it will burn some of the wooden frames around the room and catch the whole place on fire. And every person in the group, if you sit and fight the Lich, the place is going up in flame and the princess dies. So you split off and let your characters do the things that they're good at. Maybe the fighter and the wizard take the Lich on. Maybe the thief goes over and tries to free the princess with the lock cage. And maybe the druid tries to create water to splash and protect the wooden area, soak it down really good, protect it from the lava or the fire pit or whatever. At the same time, this is all happening. I don't think in D&D that means very much. I think in Savage Worlds, it's pretty cool. That's one place. That's the one, Malachi. Challenge of Champions. That was it. That was the one with all the puzzles and stuff. What I think is great in Savage Worlds, they have a way to give everybody skill checks round by round. And as everybody succeeds on a skill check, narratively, you're getting closer and closer to your goal, succeeding, and you collect a set of tokens. Once that token reaches a certain number in a limited number of rounds, you succeed. If you don't, then you lose. So I don't know if skill challenges translate that well in D&D, because usually unless you made the thief have to make multiple checks to make it interesting.
Right, because usually it's one and done.
Yeah, but I will say this. I think that scenario, and I think we can make it better than what I described it. I think that scenario would be more fun than here. Let's answer this riddle.
Sure, and even in D&D, you can easily have that happen and be a challenge and be good. And you wouldn't even, and depending on the situation, you wouldn't necessarily even need a thief. Necessarily.
Right.
I mean, if you said they're in a locked cage and you said the only way to get them out is to unlock the cage, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You might need a thief, but a wizard could do that with knock, perhaps, or maybe the fighter could go up there and bend the bars, depending on how strong they are.
Mm-hmm.
And everything. It's all depends. So
yeah.
That situation lends itself to multiple resolutions.
Right, and I think as a making it good, I would choose skill challenges over puzzles. Though you might also want to stick like a riddle in there and let one character try to work on the riddle while different things are going on, and you have so many rounds to get to. You have to get the riddle solved. This would be fascinating and challenging, though, to create a riddle where you have to, as you discover pieces of the answer, that tells each person what they need to do, almost like a what's those rooms you get? Escape rooms. You could have an escape room in your dungeon adventure. That could be pretty interesting, where you had to
find all the stuff and then you can finally get out.
Yeah, interpret the puzzle or find all the things to get the way out and escape. Yeah, and that would be really good. So I think we've hit that pretty well. The puzzle thing is generally can be good if it doesn't take forever. If it does,
if it doesn't take forever and if you present well, Although with puzzles, I will throw out etiquette, the normal table etiquette that I was talking about earlier, where you give allowances to the DM. He puts a puzzle in there, you immediately sneer,
mm-hmm.
and then if it's not presented well, you can call him names, especially to his face.
Yeah. 28 millimeter, I think, echoed what we said before. Hinging the adventure on the finding of a secret door that opens up to 90% of the dungeon, and all the entire party fails rolls. Yeah. You don't want it to be a stopper. You don't want it to be a choke point. Oh, we're done. Unless you do. I mean, I think Elle said this last week. What if the party has to go do something else?
Yeah. If you're in a kind of a campaign environment with your party, it's not necessarily the end of the world if they're not able to open a particular lock.
Right.
There should be more things for them to do, or they can go out and find adventure.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we can't get there, so we'll go somewhere else and maybe come back later. I mean, that's always a possibility.
Yeah.
Hey, we found a knock wand. Let's go back to that one place. Oh, yeah, it just had a low-level monster in there. I mean, depending on how long you take, what kind of duration there is between finding that particular spot and then finding a way to bypass it, you might even just say, "Wow, that's a year ago. I don't know what's the point of going back there." So.
What about social encounters, RP? Should we even have rules for that?
Well, I don't necessarily think you need to have necessarily rules for the skill challenges either.
Okay.
So not necessarily.
What do you mean?
Well, saying, you need to make this successful roll 2 or 3 times, collect tokens and stuff like that.
I think that's too much, too gamey.
Well, it might be. It might not. It depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So just like in RP, you don't necessarily need, if there's some kind of oppositional thing that you're doing, like bargaining, trying to convince somebody of a thing, there might need to be rolls made.
Your party and the evil wizard are both trying to convince the king to help them, to give them money for the thing they're about to do, and
something like that.
Yeah, and so you think maybe you want to have to make it quote unquote. You wouldn't want it to be me just interpreting whether the party or the wizard gives the best plea.
Yeah, and it depends on the situation. So let's say you're trying to convince a town guard of something.
Sure.
Okay, if that something isn't that earth-shattering, like I'm just visiting town to um, to visit your inn because I'm tired. That might be very convincing just on its face, and you may not need to make a roll. But if you're trying to convince them you're the sultan of some faraway place, but you look like a vagabond, then you need to do some fast talking. So it all depends on the situation. You might be able to come up with something, and the situation demands that, or a situation presents itself in a way that you don't necessarily even need to roll. So not all RP encounters even need rolls. That's why they don't always need rules. It all depends on. Are you getting sucked into the chat again?
Yeah, sorry. I know they're talking math. They need to stop, please.
I'm gonna hit L with a band hammer if he does not stop sucking you out of this live stream and into the math.
I'm gonna
stop it.
I'm gonna do my old YouTube channel on math discussions. I have me and L and one other person. I don't know who will show up. I bet Powder Puff would show up every once in a while.
Right.
Well, what about this? What about this is interesting to me. When you're going to have a social scene, say you're going to a party, right? You're pretty decent level adventurers. You get invited to a party. There's going to be a lot of schmoozing. You're going to have to find information from important people so you can know what to do next. Maybe you're trying to figure out a search for some gem, but no one knows where it was last. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's that. But you're basically at a party and you're talking to all these NPCs. Some are up to no good, some are all good, some are friendly, some are liars.
I win.
What's that?
I got Flady to agree with me. I win.
Yeah, it doesn't have to.
Yes. Flady is saying, Joe, I agree. RP challenge doesn't always need a roll, hence the RP portion. Yes.
So your party's goal is to go to this masquerade and figure out exactly why the ships in the harbor are not being allowed to leave. That is, who's behind it all. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's a good idea as a DM to have a scripted responses for the NPCs trying to anticipate questions the PCs might ask, or just know why, pick a couple NPCs with personalities and wing it?
That's probably your best bet.
Probably is time-wise.
Yeah. And time, so you bringing up time, we all have busy schedules. Let's say your session has to run short and you have an RP session, right? So how do you do, just like anything else in the game, how do you do it quickly? Because sometimes, see, you're sucking me into chat now.
Sorry. Okay, I'm
so
sorry.
The rules you're talking about, getting tokens and making multiple rolls, that can be good for, all right, here's an RP scenario. Right. You guys are in the throne room, or maybe just in a meeting hall, and you're trying to find out the information you were just talking about. We can role play the whole thing out. It'll take X amount of time, or we can do a little bit of RP and some rolls and see if you collect enough tokens. It all depends on what you want out of the role play and how much time you want to allocate to it.
I think that's fair.
So you could do it. You can approach it multiple ways. You don't even necessarily have to have that in stone before you play. You might be able to present the alternatives to the players. Fast or slow, how much time you want to do this, how much do you want to find out? There might be implications. So if you do the quick method, it may be less helpful than if you do the slower method.
Right. I so want to answer L's last statement of Malachi's, but I won't. So I'm resisting. So anyway, one thing I find troublesome when I'm doing a social situation is if I don't write some stuff down, like who knows what exactly, I'll forget key pieces of information. Like if they need to know that John, the shipwright, okay, he's a drunk, and somebody is always making sure that he's always drunk, and he doesn't notice the little ledger changes, right? And the prince, okay, he has if the ships stay in harbor long enough, then maybe a trade route will open up for his advantage that used to be simply overseas, that he can now do overland for whatever purpose. I need to have the motivations written down. Do you ever get tired though, or is it a bad social encounter if there seems to be no relevance to pushing the story forward? Meaning, haggling, shopping, buying drinks, getting a room at the inn. Does that wear on you? Is that something you think that's something you should always just gloss over?
Well, not necessarily gloss over completely. It depends on how much time is given to it. If it isn't advancing the plot or the adventure, not necessarily the story, but if it doesn't get you from A to B, if you're spinning your wheels figuring out how many weeks of rations you're going to stick in your backpack, if you're spinning your wheels, it's taking a lot of time doing all that. Not necessarily inconsequential, but for me, boring stuff. I'd rather that have less time impact at the table. That's me. And not necessarily completely gloss over, because it can be fun to do a little bit of haggling and save a few coins here and there. Yeah. So
is that a phrase from? I always say, is it haggle big nose, or is that not the phrase from?
No, come on, big nose, let's haggle. That's from.
Come on, big nose, let's haggle. Yeah, that's the word. What about bad guys monologuing?
That's fine.
You think that's fine?
Okay? Yeah. If it's in their character to monologue, let them. Yeah. Especially, and a player can use it. Or if you are some characters I play, they don't have time for that monologue. You can start the monologue, and then we've bumped heads on this many times.
For sure.
I'm going to shoot him while he's talking.
Right.
And then Randy will say, no.
Well, and part of it, and I think now I lean toward your approach, but I do think narratively it sometimes makes sense if you want it to flow a little more like a story. I know that's an evil word for a lot of people.
Yeah. The S word.
To give the bad guy a chance to monologue, because he can relay information. But our story at the table can be interesting. That can be my plan. And if Joe shoots him with a crossbow, arrow right in his face, and he drops him, that'll just be a piece of information they never get.
Right.
And you got to live with it. So yeah, I think that's fair. And I think you can also have, and I think you got to mix it up as a DM. I could have a bad guy about ready to monologue, but he's not going to monologue in such a way that he's totally distracted. So he can have his hand on his sword and be looking at you, go, look, here's why I did it. And he's tense because he's like, I think Joe's going to shoot me with a crossbow.
Or so it can also, the monologue can be from lots of different purposes from the point of view of the bad guy. The bad guy might need to monologue so his cronies can pack up his crap.
Right.
And get the heck out of Dodge. And then he just teleports or, beats a hasty retreat, hits the lever, and he falls through a trap door and escapes, whatever. But he might need to monologue for a variety of reasons, or he might just want to because he's got a big ego. And it might be the plan of the DM for him to monologue and pass along that bit of information that you didn't have.
But I think I like the fact that if he doesn't, it's Shadow and Son's got how I used to feel. They try to shoot him during his monologue, give him Darth Vader-like powers, and ricochet the shots back in the party. Yeah, you could do that.
But you could do that if it's appropriate to them. The bad guy. I mean, I wouldn't just say give every bad guy that ability just because you want him to monologue.
I like that idea. That's pretty cool. Have the bad guy, he's monologuing as a delaying tactic. That's actually quite cool. And
he could easily just have a wall of force there.
All right.
Because you can't necessarily see it.
Why don't we skip the exploration discovery, because that's not really an encounter.
Right.
What do you think about, in a different note, what about you think about using professionally created adventures, so written adventures to make your encounters. That is, I've done this. I've taken an adventure that I really liked and just pulled 2 or 3 encounters straight out of it. And
yeah, they're fine.
The labels.
Especially, okay, good is subjective. Mm-hmm. So what you think is good, somebody else may not. But if you have some adventures that you like, you can easily just yank some encounters out of there.
Yeah,
even if the adventure as a whole isn't great, but there's a couple of encounters in there that are good, you can use those.
Yeah. I think young DMs should probably try running adventures first, pre-made adventure, at least one, to see how the pros would quote unquote do it. Not to say the pros are always good, but if you get a module and adventure that people have said is really good, I would try that. I like to use them. Shadow and Sun says he never uses them.
Because everybody has their own idea of what
good is.
What good is and what an adventure is. So what module makers, I think that there are formulas, and there are probably some people out there like, yeah, I don't like that.
You got a little DVR Jasper sneaking in.
Yeah, at first I thought it was a bunch of gibberish, but
no.
It's just an alternative spelling to English words.
I think with your encounters, to keep them good, though, you want to, and I got to watch this, don't get in a rut or a habit. My players know I love undead, I love demons, devils, and golems. And so it's hard for me not to put one or many of those in an adventure. And I think with encounters, if you're always doing encounters where the golem's the big combat fight, the devil is the role play. You got to role play with the devil for your soul. And then I think that can get a little bit old. What you looking at? L, getting after me tonight, huh?
L, Powder Puff, wait until the contest time. I got an answer that will automatically win and irritate Randy.
Okay, cool.
Remember, closest to, but not over.
Correct. I'm intrigued. I have an idea what he could say. I'll be intrigued to see if he says it or something else. If he does, I'll be kind of impressed. I still may be impressed. Creating encounters for jaded players versus new players.
It can be difficult.
An engaging encounter for a new player could be just, you see 4 goblins coming up out of the forest.
You see it all the time. I've never played before. It's a giant spider. Oh no, it's going to eat me. Mm-hmm. Right. So, but for someone who's been around, you're like, this spider has 2 hit points.
Now draw my sword, attack.
Yeah. So, yes, ringers.
Yeah, I think that's key. I think every once in a while you have to throw in the vampire werewolf. What I mean by that is, I think I told before I created a werewolf in 2nd edition that also was vampiric. So my players are like, that's a ringer, not fair. But you know what? Werewolves are old by that time. Vampires are old by that time. You guys didn't expect a vampiric werewolf. A werewolf you beat down, and then he turned into smoke and took off. So I think you have to throw the ringers in every once in a while. You have to throw them careful. You have to throw curveballs at them. And remember, your players and NPCs don't have to play by the same rules as the PCs.
Right. Really they can do things that the PCs can't. They should do things that the PCs can't do. I know a lot of people don't like that, especially in the 3rd edition generation. But monsters, they should do things the PCs can't, because that way, especially something brand new that you make up. What is that?
What is that? Yeah, and you have to be careful with NPCs. I wouldn't want to bring a fighter in that could do, be a low-level fighter and be able to do crazy stuff that another low-level fighter couldn't do. Though 1st and 2nd edition was pretty fun in Dragon Magazine of non-player character classes. Remember those? NPC classes? Those are weird. And I was like, why can't we be those? Because they said you can't. And
we found out why. Because you let people do them.
I did find out why. They were broken.
they were not for the players because they were too powerful,
Which
or they were way too weak. Like
yes,
they had a jester, they had a few versions of a jester, but many of them were just so weak. Why play one? It's an NPC.
Yeah, and I think, and now that I think about it, it's not so bad. I mean, because we don't have too many players they're not gonna quiz me over the stats of my NPC. You know, why is his armor class 21, Randy? Shouldn't it only be 19? You know,
Right.
or whenever we killed him, we're like, how did he have it? Because some people will be like, we got a plate mail armor and that was it. How did he have a 21 armor class?
Right.
You know, so yeah, that's kind of a thing. I've been inclined, especially at the end of the Pathfinder run, Joe knows, I just gave Monster the stats that they needed to compete.
That's the best way to do it.
That's what I did. And so they had enough hit points. Now, I'm not talking about fudging. I assigned the hit points. You can fudge, but you better be careful with that. I'm not a big fan of fudging anymore. I did a little bit when I was younger. I was never really much of a fudger. You know, oh, they only had 80 hit points. I'm going to give them 85 so they can last another round. I'm not inclined to do that anymore. But I have. I mean, I've done it. And sometimes it worked out good. Sometimes I was really sorry because they ended up getting their cool power off and they killed a PC. So that's when I kind of learned that wasn't the best move. If you want, that's probably the best. Lady one says, I use player character classes on key NPCs as repeating antagonists to drive the story. Yeah, they're some of the worst. That's some of the biggest challenges for player characters are other PC types. So,
well, but the most annoying thing is to have an NPC that everybody knows as a wizard. Mm-hmm. This is the wizard, blah, blah, blah. And then he does things that your wizard can't do and will never be able to do.
Right.
And then
not by the rules.
Yeah, because they're not following the rules. So when the player asks, how did he do that? He's an NPC. You can't do that.
Well, now in the far off future, should Mudsword see the light? That may be a thing and it would make sense within the rules. Because we're going to have something called spell secrets. And so there may be wizards that do stuff that, you would never think to ask for, So anyway. Well, I think that's about all I got on. I think we've made all the encounters good. What do you think, Joe?
All right. But, what we should do is put this in a package.
Okay.
Like step 1, step 2, or point 1, point 2. Maybe in a subsequent show, once you've had some time, you can just write it up and we can have it in the show notes. Not necessarily something to buy or anything like that.
No, just to give away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just our opinion on how to build a good encounter.
Step 1, 2, 3. It's just a few steps.
Yeah, there's a
few resources, and you're good.
Yeah.
There's not. I don't really think there's a whole lot, except to making engaging encounters, except practice, a few resources, and knowing the game. So once you have those 3 under your belt, once you've done a few encounters, you've played them through, you can, and your players, you can get an idea. You can get an idea on how that works and what's good for you, what's good for the players, what's good for your table. Yeah.
Well, you want to tell them to do the things, man? They should do.
Let's do the things. Let me advance my sheet here. Yeah. All right. So let's do the things that need doing. Yeah. Subscribe.
Everybody get numbers in your head. Don't type them yet.
Prepare your numbers. So yes, subscribe, hit the like button, the bell notification, comment, share this podcast and live stream YouTube channel out to your friends so we can share our greatness with them.
Okay. Cool. So here's what we're going to do, guys. I'm going to do my best to track you guys as we go through almost. So this is the fishbowl. Again, about 8 inches in diameter. My hand spans the top to the bottom. There's the giant dice in the center. So you're going to make a guess without going over how many dice you think are in here?
Hold your numbers, people.
It's okay. Starting now, you can start putting numbers in the chat. I'll keep track of it. Joe and I are going to start chatting about Cabin Con. So we've got Phone Guy with 286. Want to do a barrage. Tim Scott. Oh, Kelly's taking one. That's his wifey Pooh. Arn Man. I got him. So Jasper. He's going crazy with the low ball. Yeah. Mr. Tim's got one. Patrick's got a number. And where are we at? Did I miss it? Oh, Flady, 127. Don't want to forget that. Shadow takes 247. Who did I miss? I'm waiting for L's. That's going to be juicy. Darth says 50. Malachi says 69.
Did you see it? Did you see his guess?
I'm looking.
He has it. Randy, my guess.
Yeah, brother. How did you know? Square root of -1. That's how many's in there. Shadow 247. Where am I at? Jasper, Malachi. Chill Gamer. All right, cool. Numbers are flowing in. We've got a person that's pretty close. Powder Puff's got Giggity. Did I miss anybody? I don't think. Oh, Duncan Bradley. 441. Jasper 51. Tim 118. Tim the caffeinated grognard. All right. Jasper Flavor.
20 seconds.
All right. 20 seconds, says Joe. Anybody else want to put a number in? Because we have a winner if you don't. L, you want to put a real guess in? That was cool. I appreciate it.
5 seconds.
You should win just for the mathematical knowledge.
That is time.
Time is up. And our winner, unless Randy, I'm going to double check going down the stream console. Good guesses.
There can't be partial die. Well, you might have broken dice in there. There might be a partial die in there.
It is a 3-digit number. Oh, Cal got his in. And Mr. Max got his in. I'll take that. That's it. Oh, pie. Look at L. L's going for brownie points with the math teacher. All right, let's see here.
Well, I've got the perfect brownie point answer for you.
What's that?
0.9 repeating.
Yeah. Joe, if you could win, you would win just on principle. All right. So the answer is 691 dice. That is a fact.
Oh, wow. The 69 was kind of close.
Yep. And Arn Man 1 was 677. So Arn Man,
right.
You need to send us, we're going to have him send us an email.
Yeah.
Send us an email, name and address, pick your poison, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, 2nd edition. Old school, SKOOL. It's called a WEGS is the game, the system, Wickedly Errant Game System, and gets dice and a cool bag. I bought this in 2014, and it has never been opened. I don't think I've looked at it. I played it at Gen Con.
You mean there could be some kind of dangerous thing in there?
There could be. And then there's Star Wars Edge of the Empire role-playing game, but it is the beta version. So let us know, Arn Man. Congratulations. Way to go. Thanks, everybody, for participating. Yeah, that's a lot of dice, Max. And I can tell you, Mr. Max Bravan says 691. That's a lot of dice. Yeah. Not only did I
tiny ones.
My wife helped count, my sister-in-law and my mother. So we double-checked and triple-checked. So 691. And this is not all the dice that I have. That's crazy. So it's like I'm old or something. Been collecting dice.
There's little bitty dice in there about that big. I mean, there's bunches of little dice. So yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a very fun thing to do. That was fun watching the numbers roll in.
Yeah. So when I guessed, I think I guessed in the 400s, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Bruce, that was nice of Bruce. Bruce had won something before, so he stepped out. That was cool. So, oh wow. Look at Shadow and Son. That is self-control. His dice collection is 20 dice in total. Let me guess. Are they all the old plastics from the basic box set, Mauve? Is that what it is, Shadow? What was the average of the guess? Oh gosh, I don't know.
Jasper says he thought they were all the same size.
Oh, they were not. Oh
No,
no, sir. They are. Believe it or not, this is the look at this. You guys are
Maliki says that's a rookie number, Shadow and Sun. LOL.
There's two of these.
Oh, that's cheap. That's cheap.
That's cheap, dude. There's 3 of them, and there's also some like mini dice. Like I can't barely hold in my fingers. So yeah, yeah. Oh, is that true? Powder Puff says every time I buy a few dice, Joe has to go buy a pound to exceed a collection. Okay.
That only happened once, maybe twice.
Dude, look at that. Shadow, you got respect, brother. No, various black and white dice. Look at that, dude. That is self-control. We gamers technically only need about 6 or 7 dice, let's be honest.
Yeah, but more is better.
Oh, Tim's rolling pretty low, too. Caffeinated Grognard, he has some 40-plus-year-old dice, but I also have less than 50. Well done. Yeah, I have probably close to 1,000. That's 691. I've probably got 1,000. So, if not, I'm going to go buy a couple hundred more, so that I can have 1,000 dice.
I think maybe all my dice would fit in that bowl.
I don't know. I don't know the size of your bag. We need the average for mathematical interest. Oh, can I give it to you next time? Because I could eyeball it, but that wouldn't be fair. I think we should get the mean, median, mode, have a distribution. It's probably not going to be normal, but it'll be fun. He can average. Okay, that's it. I'm correcting you guys, you and Maliki both.
All right. So at this point, Randy is fired. Randy is fired from the podcast and from the live stream. If this persists, I can kick him the heck right out of here. This says remove for a reason. Remove. It says remove in case of math emergency. And that's what this is.
Oh, well, they found my button, didn't they? Man,
yeah.
To the moon. All right, let's talk about Cabin Con. That is, our meeting's coming up. So we have Cabin Con in May, right, Joe? And
May.
October. And we are going to have we call it our business meeting. But nowadays, there's not much. It used to be a lot of, because I was constantly trying to put things in flux.
We finally got to the point where we have settled into a groove and very little except, hey, are you going to be there? Let's eat some food. Goes on. That's pretty much what goes on.
Yeah. We do need to talk about, because there was that discussion of changing venues. I don't think that got much traction. And I don't think it'll be brought up this time, but we'll see. I think we should get together more. Shadow, that would be fabulous. He says in May, he hopes he could make it. I hope you can.
Yeah, this is not the Big Geek Con that we're talking about. We've been talking about. This is
Cabin Con.
Cabin Con that we've had. How many now? 15,
this is 17.
17
coming up. Yeah.
This is our 17th year.
Small group of 20, 25 buddies go up to the lake nearby. We get cabins. We all rent these cabins in this one place. One place we call the Big House too. And we game all week and have a good time. That is not the same as Big Geek Con. That'll be a different thing. But Shadow, that would be cool. You would be welcome, sir, if you could make it. I think we should get together more often. We don't seem to get together, Cabin Con Company. We should have because Patrick had mentioned having a cookout. And he's hosted the last couple of meetings, and I hope he would do again. Have you given any thoughts to the games you might run, Joe, or nothing at all yet?
No, because my head has been in the Emporium.
Right.
So I have absolutely not thought of anything.
Yeah. I'm leaning toward Aliens and Deadlands. I didn't run last year, so I'm going to do my best so Patrick's going to host, I think. So we'll let him do that. I'm going to run an Aliens game, what's that called? Cinematic game. So we can have some traitorous stuff. I may run a multi-night Aliens game, and then I'm going to run a Deadlands scenario or two for my buddy John, Trent's friend, because John's going to take this year off. That's what he told me. I'm going to hold him to it. I want him to enjoy the con and not run like a demon. Well, Shadow, where is it? Well, it's in Michigan. It's up north, about an hour from our house. It costs us.
We may be talking about different things here.
Sure.
Okay.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
so Cabin Con is in May
Yeah.
and is in Michigan. The running your con, if this is related to running a more traditional convention, that will also be in Michigan, but it's going to be in more September timeframe. So there's two different things we're talking about here. Cabin Con, which is our annual thing we've done for a long time. This will be our 17th year that we've done it. And then Big Geek Con will be first one is slated potentially for next year.
Right. I'm still working on some things on that.
As more of a traditional con, though, it'll be small, so it might be more intimate, a more intimate setting than a typical convention hall.
Yeah. So Cabin Con is something that we keep pretty small. We couldn't, I mean, dude, I would love it if I could have everybody, all these fun people at the Cabin Con, but I don't think we have enough room for everybody. We have a few slots open space-wise, but I would absolutely entertain a few people that we know on here pretty well to show up and do that if they wanted to make the trek. But it's a different experience. It's just a bunch of guys hanging out, eating food, talking crap, staying up late, playing D&D, talking gaming all weekend long. It's more fun than you could possibly imagine.
And by a bunch of guys, that's technically guys. It's a male bonding retreat getaway thing.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that would be great, Tim. You should do a Cabin Con East in VA, few state parks. That would be great, dude. Do it. Get your buddies, find a weekend. I will take credit for the Cabin Con name, though I found out someone else on the East Coast, I want to say in Jersey, had done what's called a Cabin Con. I found that on a search, but I don't think they've had as many years as we have.
Okay, so the question came up again. So Shadow and Sun is how much does it cost us to run? So our annual thing, it's I think per person is around. It's been around 100. It's fluctuated between $80 to about $120 depending on the cost of the venue, and the venue is I can't remember the name of Lake George
Resort.
Yes, Lake George Resort. They charge us. I can't remember how much it is. How much does it run?
A little over $2,000, about $2,300. But we get a house that sleeps 11, a cabin that sleeps 5, and then 3 or 4 cabins that sleep 3 to 4 dudes. So we have a nice crowd. And Powder Puff Nerd said it's totally gay. She's kind of
gay. Right. Yeah, not gay.
Not homosexual way.
No homo. No homo. Yeah, it's a couple grand divided between 15 to 20 dudes. So it's usually a really good deal.
Last year was the most expensive ever at $125, but you're talking $125 for 3 nights and 4 days.
And then we bring our own food.
Yep.
And folks bring games to run, and some folks just come to play.
Yeah. Bruce has the right of it. Powder Puff Nerd, it would turn into Gen Con if they let women in it. This way, no girls allowed. It stays pure. Yes, purity.
All right. This is a travesty.
What's that?
Jasper Arbustos. Y'all need any bean and cheese tacos with guacamole. Only if you have, strips of steak in there or something.
Yes.
There's got to be. Where's the meat?
We got to have meat in our tacos, dude. We don't do that vegetarian stuff. But thank you. It sounds. I'm not a guacamole guy, though. I could do bean and cheese, but I'm not a guacamole guy. Yeah, this is something that happens at Cabin Con for some guys. We do have a drunken bonfire. No one has yet caught on fire. That's cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If we need those that specific type of taco, Jasper, we will be in touch.
And I know you've been busy, but now that I'm getting your mind thinking about Cabin Con, you got any hopes for Cabin Con 17? Anything you hope we could do that'd be cool, that'd be different, or just...
He's been ratted out. So there's a DVR Army has a few folks in here, and one of the other guys has ratted out Jasper as a Mexican. As a DVR team member, I apologize for Arbustos being here since he is Mexican.
Oh no, L. Dude, he is on fire today. If you want meat in the tacos, you got to invite the girls together.
All right.
Dude.
This is a clean channel.
Yeah, clean. It's only math.
Clean.
It's going to be Biggest Geekus with math. That's going to be our new title.
No.
All right.
No, it's not.
Why don't we slide into some updates? You got the big update for Big Geek Emporium.
Really, you're going to follow up the Taco Meat Girls thing with sliding in?
I guess
that's not good. That's not good. You're
not
gonna have to pray about that.
Yes, pray twice.
All right, so that's the Cabin Con.
Yep.
Now we don't have any call-ins to talk about or to play or any emails to discuss. So we can just get right into biggest geekiest updates, our various ones. I will start with the Big Geek Emporium. We now have print on demand. Okay. So there is a product up. It is let me make sure I say it correctly. Yeah. It is. Come on. Right. We have it is Dungeons and Delvers Core Rulebook hardcover. All right. It is on sale. It's a hardcover book. I can't remember how many pages it is, but is this in black and white or is it full color? I don't remember. Anyway, it's print on demand. When you buy it, it's a little more expensive than some of the other things that we have there at the Emporium because most of it is PDFs, lots of free stuff, lots of $1 items. This is on sale for $54.85 as a hardcover. I think it's like 300 pages or more.
Oh, I bet it's beautiful. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get David. David's been helping me a lot, so I'm definitely buying his book.
All right, that sounds good.
Dick's Division says that Big is Geekiest. Before I do my Dungeons and Delvers videos, I always show off your site. I don't know if you saw it, but I've been advocating your site before every discussion about Gal's book. Right on, brother. Thank you.
Yes, I have. I know that you have some videos up about that, so that's good. I haven't watched them. Sorry.
Arnman says, please come up with a way to support without using PayPal. Is he talking about?
Okay. Well. There's also Stripe. So there are a few different ways that you can support Biggest Geekus. One of them is through our link through PayPal, which is direct. You can also support us through so far through Anchor, and you can buy stuff on your credit card at Big Geek Emporium as well. 519 pages.
Thanks, Bruce.
So that's a pretty thick book.
That is quite a book.
Yeah. So PayPal had an incident over the weekend where they said they said in their policy they had a new policy thing out that they were going to solely on their discretion, if they thought you did some naughty things on the internet, that they would fine you $2,500. So they would take it out of your PayPal account. So, what? Yeah, but apparently that has been rescinded. So some people think that they were testing the waters. Yeah. And seeing what they could get away with, because they basically said, "Oh, that wasn't supposed to go up." But as another YouTuber put it, a company of that size doesn't just release stuff to the internet without it going through some sort of process. When I put stuff on Big Geek Emporium, I just post it.
Right.
Because there's only me.
Right.
But PayPal has lots of folks working for them. So they have an approval process. So the idea that it got put out there accidentally, wasn't supposed to happen, doesn't really fly.
Mr. Bob M says there's Gab Pay as an alternative. Dude, I tell you what, Yeah, Patrick had it right a while back. The parallel economy is the key. Joe sent me a video this week about Razor Fist, and I can't tell you how pumped that got me. Generally, that guy I like him, but I think he's kind of I don't want to say kind of a blowhard, but not in a bad way. I enjoy Razor Fist, but I think he's right, dude. We can complain about SJW stuff, and I know I do. We all do, and it makes us feel good, and we're not wrong. But you know what? We need to produce crap. And I told Joe, I think Biggest Geekus, we need to make this happen. We got to build something real. And there are a lot of people on here that are talented people in the stream right now that could do that too. We got to support each other, man, because this is some bullshit is what it is. We shouldn't put up.
L has a point. I don't know if this is particularly true, but you know, this could really be an issue if they really decided to do that for chargebacks. Mm-hmm. PayPal can't do that if they wanted to. Visa would sue them for chargebacks. I mean, they're not reversing charges. They're just, chargebacks might happen because your account suddenly doesn't have the money you thought it did. So, yeah, they would charge you. Some advice that this one fellow gave about PayPal is don't leave $2,500 in PayPal. If you've earned $2,500 worth of stuff, don't leave it in PayPal. Take it out and put it in your bank account or invest it in something, whatever. But yeah, don't leave that much money in PayPal. You never know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, a different alternative we have at the moment, PayPal, we have Anchor, and we have buying through the Emporium. Right. I will look at Gab Pay. Is that Gab as in the Gab app? They have their own payment system. I will have to look that up.
Yeah, Iron Man, he spells it capital G-A-B, capital P-A-Y.
So that might be Gab. There's a communication thing like Twitter called Gab. So
I liked it, but it really pumped me up. His rah speech was, it really hit me hard.
Yes, it is really good. So at the moment, we can't abandon PayPal, mainly because all the creators there get paid through PayPal.
Right.
I mean, it's difficult to just pull out.
I think Powder Puff makes a good point. Starbucks cards are always welcome to pay for Joe's wife for her support with this all. You got a serious coffee addiction. I know that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's like Gab the social network, right? Okay. So I will start looking at alternatives that are viable. Mm-hmm. It's really not just up to me, even though it's my site, right. Big Geek Emporium.
You got people dependent on that, so
everybody gets paid through PayPal. I can look at direct bank charges. That might work instead of PayPal if we could do it directly. I don't know how that works, but I can look at it. Message delivered. I will be looking. We also have a bunch of new products up. We have print on demand that just started. We have lots of new products up. Development for the new site is progressing very well. Still don't really have an ETA. And I don't want to do what other sites do and say, hey, coming soon. I'm just going to announce every once in a while that we're making progress. That's about the best I can do until I get a good ETA from the dev folks. I guess the only other thing is I'm considering doing a few things for the creators because at the moment, in the current iteration, putting up a product can be a little confusing. So Dave Guile is putting a PDF together of how to do that, and I'm considering making some videos to go with it.
Cool. Anything else from Big Geek Emporium?
I don't think so.
Big Geek Adventures has last week or two has been kind of tough on me, the LA trip, and then from other things when I got back. Well, what's Bruce saying?
This is for coffee.
Yeah, it's coffee. Yeah, cool.
This is if you like coffee.
Very thin first draft of the module. David Guile has done some, what's the word I'm looking, some design work on the, what's the word for it? Layout work for me. I need to add some of his ideas into it, his suggestions. One of his big suggestions I had thought of too, and I'd cut out on purpose, so now I get to add some more words. I wanted to keep talking about it, but I was afraid it was boring. He said, no, DMs should know it. So the adventure is coming along. I got to get serious this weekend. I'm planning. That's one of the reasons I'm taking my Wednesday game and setting it. I'm stepping out of the Wednesday game so I can work on the adventure. And then Big Geek Con. Did I talk about the four? What is it? Sheraton and Saginaw last time. Okay, so
last time maybe I can't remember for sure.
The Sheraton Hotel sounded really cool. Martinson and I took a road trip there. I talked to them. Turned out the two people working there were heavy gamers. They were D&D players, and they thought the idea was cool. They gave me the number to their boss. I still got to contact them. The rooms look great. It would also be, we get enough people. If I can get 8 or 10 people to stay in the hotel, we get a discount. I got to see the numbers. I got to put my information there, and then it'll be between that and then Delta. I have not heard back from them yet, so I still got more legwork to do. So not much to say yet on Big Geek Con, but I do have my irons in the fire, and I'm doing my best to get this rolling. So hopefully soon we'll see more headway and have more report. That's all.
Definitely check the fine print on Delta, because they might have some squirrely words in there.
I'm going to tell them
us do social justice crap.
Yeah, well, for sure, especially with the way we're heading. So, yeah. So, yeah.
Let's see.
That's all
That's all the updates. Yeah, that's all the updates.
Yeah, and so the winner of the Riddle the Sphinx contest was Arnman. He's going to email us with his information, and I will shoot him out one of those 3 items. I'll say them again for him in case he's still here. Star Wars Edge of the Empire role-playing game, beta version. Old SKOOL school, WEGS RPG system in a bag. Or WFRP, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, 2nd edition by Black Industries. So choose your poison. Arnman. Oh, Arnman says Delta sorority. No, Delta is a college, believe it or not. Delta College up here in mid-Michigan. So we may have it there. I'm torn. Every place I've gone to and talked to, they kind of, I don't know if they're just making it sound better, but the Sheraton Hotel looks sweet, and we would all be together. People that came in from out of town would be in the hotel. They wouldn't have to leave. We're right there in Tittabawassee, Joe. If you know, there's all kinds of food. In fact, we're connected to an Uno's Pizza, which you guys know about that. That's pretty tasty stuff. So it would be a good location too. So we'll find out. Is that a question, Tim? Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay? Did I say that? He's suggesting Arnman take that, I think. So he's saying
for the win.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't care. Choose Arnman.
So you've already talked about Superman,
Tom Taylor.
right?
Yeah, we talked about DC. Who cares? They're lost cause.
Right. And you mentioned something about safe spaces.
Did you want to talk more about that? Because that was kind of your baby. Seeing some stuff with safe spaces.
Yeah, it's just a little bit on Twitter. I don't understand why it keeps cropping up. Uno's still exists? Yeah, here in Michigan.
Good pizza, dude. I mean, good enough. It's not great, but it's good.
I guess the reason it still exists is because we still have folks out there who haven't grown up, who look like they've grown up, and insist on, if you want to, at your table, have like a consent form where people fill out all the things that make them nervous and that they don't want you to have as content in your game. If you want to run that kind of game, have at it. When we run games, Randy or I, or when we play in each other's games or whatever, the games that we run around here or participate around in here, that's not going to fly. If you want to impose your maladies on the game, do that elsewhere.
Don't know yet, Cal. August, September, almost guaranteed one of those 2 months. We'll let you know when Big Geek Con is. Still working on it. I know you guys need to know. People need some warning. So, but yeah, I think that's silly. I mean, I wouldn't put up with it. Someone's coming, they come to my table, start demanding stuff. I'd be like, look, we're reasonable people. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but I'm also not gonna treat you like a little special snowflake just because you think you are. And I don't care. I don't care if you do have trigger things. I mean, it could be you get triggered by blood. Well, I got news for you. We're going to talk about blood in our game because creatures are going to bleed when the monsters hit them with swords and spells.
I mentioned tension earlier when we were talking, and tension is a good way to gauge. Gauge may not be the right word. It's a good way to draw players in when you use tension. You have things that make people uncomfortable. There's a big orc in front of you, slobbering all over the axe he's getting ready to hit you with. And, someone there at the table might say something like, orcs are, embodiments of real present-day people somehow.
Oh.
And then they get upset because you have orcs in your game. Or the orcs are bad, So what you do is you invite that person to go find, themselves another table. So...
better stop. Phone guy's feeling triggered.
Yeah, you can. There's a little. If you take your mouse and you float it up to the tab where this is being played, you'll find an X there.
Joe. Oh no, I know.
Tension is what makes these games exciting. If you don't have tension, then it's just you're winning the whole time, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make for good games. And tension is important.
Yeah.
And tension makes you feel a little uncomfortable. And most of these safe space people don't want discomfort in any kind of way because they don't really know what life is. Life is, discomfort. It's stupid.
Our man calls for a YouTube X card.
Where's my band hammer?
Man of War 665, Name of the Beast. I nominate September. He'll just turn 55, and that's right. You'll just be old enough to attend. 54 is too young. Before we go, we got some punny people. Patrick says things always get dicey with Biggus Geekus.
Oh.
And then L followed it up with a sweet little comment, if I can find it. He says, Patrick, you can count on it. Well played. Well played.
Yes, lady. Life is pain. Anybody who tells you differently is selling you something.
Yes, Your Highness.
So yes, if you want safe spaces in your game, have at it.
Have them, dude. Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you how to play. Just don't find yourself trying to tell me how to play.
I put invisible rails on my adventures. You can put walls around your table and cry if someone, accidentally, has a character poop in the wrong place. I don't know. Larry Elliott out of nowhere. I'm triggered by those getting triggered, so they have to stop.
Well, at least you made it here at the end of the show.
You're glad, dude. You missed
Maybe he was listening. Maybe he was listening the whole time.
I think he was. I think Larry would never leave us hanging like that. What do you think, dude?
I think it's time.
I think it's a podcast and a stream and all those things.
Yeah. I think we can put a pin in it.
All right. Well, congratulations to Iron Man. Thanks for everybody, especially Elle for making me do math, and Joe loved the math discussion. Never disappointed with math.
All right. With that, if you'd like to support our show, please like, subscribe, and share us where you are viewing or listening to us. Leave reviews too. That'd be great. It'd be nice for us to read some reviews, especially if you don't like us. I love hearing all the bad stuff. It's fun. Anyway, it'd be cool to have some 5-star reviews, but whatever star you think we deserve, throw it on there. We're on we're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. And MeWe. What other socials are we on? That's about it.
That's a good one.
And the audio for this will go out in all the podcast places. If you'd like to support us with your cashy money, PayPal is still an option. We are going to look for more, though. We want to have multiple options for you guys. We're on Streamlabs as well. So we have a tip function over there at Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/biggestgeekest1/tip. That is not related to PayPal as far as I know. Anchor.fm/biggestgeekest is another way to support us in buying some of your RPG products over at biggeekemporium.com. We are on the web at biggestgeekestpodcast.com, which needs updating, like I keep saying, but haven't been doing. Our email, Ironman, send us an email for your delivery instructions. thegeeks@biggestgeekestpodcast.com.
Oh, before
Anything
we go,
else?
Yeah, one thing Phone Guy says at Biggest Geekus, talk to Shushu about coffee.
Coffee
Yeah.
or Ko-Fi? Coffee.
Yeah, that's a one-time. Isn't that a one-time donation place? People can donate or sign up. Oh, for tiered support. Oh, okay. It's free. Yeah, I know our boy Radio Grognard, Glenn Hallstrom. He does that.
Okay, I'll set that up.
Radio Grognard's got a good little short podcast he does. So
Also, if we can get our viewership here up to 1,000, then we can become monetized here on YouTube.
but how long will that last with me talking?
I don't know, probably 2 seconds.
Racist.
You racist, misogynist,
Istophobe.
all the istophobe thingies. That's you.
I do have the wrong skin color, so there you go.
Yes, you do.
And freckles.
Especially with those freckles. That tears it right there.
Right. All right, man.
Is that it?
I think
Are we
it's
good?
enough, dude. Thanks.
All right.
Very cool.
So I have to set things up here. I can't read and set up at the same time.
Say the thing. That's okay. I'm
Yeah.
becoming one with the sweet outro statement that everybody wants to hear.
This is Joe.
And I'm Randy.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.